Kxo El Centro, California. It is a Friday, and it's coming up about a year that we have been visiting with, members of the county. And today, not so much a big change, but we will be visiting with Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, and we're going to do this two ways. First off, good morning, Assembly Member.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having us on.
Okay, well, as we've told you, we're available anytime. All you have to do is call, and we'll get an update on Sacramento. And that's part of what I want to do, is get an update on what's happening in Sacramento. I'm sorry about chuckling, but with the pandemic, I understand it's difficult for the legislature, but also a few other questions as to COVID-19 and even to the lithium extraction process that seems to be coming on board in the Salton Sea area. First off, welcome, and let's talk a little bit about COVID-19, not only in Imperial County, but through the state. And I know that you told me that your family has been impacted by the virus, as have so many Californians. We're glad to hear that it appears everybody is doing well, right?
That's correct. Again, thank you for having us. And of course, COVID-19 has impacted everyone. And although it wasn't made public, my family and I in July were also affected, where we tested positive for COVID-19 and were isolated collectively. Everyone from my 6-year-old, my 2 teenagers, my wife and I. Luckily, we were able to weather the storm thanks to the help of some of the local doctors there in Imperial County who attended us. And here we are. We're blessed. We certainly don't take that for granted, but many people have been impacted, especially in communities like Imperial County and, of course, similar locations throughout the state. But today, I think the focus when we talked about COVID-19 is the issue of the vaccinations, and it's exciting that later today, Imperial County moves into its 1B tier, where we'll be focused on educators, childcare providers, emergency service employees, and those who work in the agriculture industry. And so 1,000 vaccines will be administered at IVC later today, thanks to the leadership of the Public Health Department and the collaboration and cooperation of the farming community, who is looking out for their workers, specifically making sure that they're healthy, to take care of their families, and of course to help our economies continue to grow. The Vegetable Grower Association, the Farm Bureau, the Imperial Valley Office of Education, without a doubt, we should definitely recognize the work of Imperial Valley College and their leaders for facilitating the location. But that's happening today. When you look at the vaccination rollout, clearly it hasn't been perfect. It hasn't run smooth. The issue of supply has been at the number one, topic of discussion. So far in California, there's been close to 9 million vaccines administered. That's combining both the first dose and the second. I believe in Imperial County, we're up to now about 20,000 and a bit more after the next 2 weeks, where we'll be receiving close to 5,000 vaccines to administer in the next 2 weeks. We'll certainly see those numbers increase significantly and focus on those who need to be vaccinated and help us curtail the COVID-19 cases in our county.
Okay, that brings up what has been an issue, and that is the supply of vaccines. You mentioned about 20,000 doses have been in Imperial County. That's roughly 10% of the population, and the vaccines aren't making it here. And, we keep hearing in the news mass clinics at Chavez Ravine, at Petco Park, at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley. But here we are in Imperial County, impacted by Arizona with few regulations, Mexico with almost no regulations, and we've only been able to get about 10% of the population inoculated. What's going on that front?
So I can tell you that in those particular cases that you mentioned, they've also had a shortage of vaccines. And although I tend to agree that there has been a tremendous amount of challenges with the intentionality of focusing vaccines on places that have been hardest hit, it's really difficult to compare, cities and counties with 10 million people, Los Angeles, San Diego, 3.3, and a county of 180,000, and to be able to compare adequately the amount of vaccines that have been distributed. I'll tell you, there's really a hodgepodge of, data where you have counties that are smaller than Imperial County that have received more vaccines. You have counties that are bigger than Imperial County that have received less vaccines. And so there really is no pattern or sequence, just simply that the places that have been hardest hit have not been front and center of priority. And I think that's been the biggest issue. I know today the word of the day is equity. It's being used like the in a sentence, but it's really a challenge that we've been talking about from day one when we arrived to the California legislature, that it's about proportionally making investments in areas that really need the boost when it comes to economic development, when it comes to infrastructure investment. And today we're talking about it in the context of healthcare, providing services to the people who have been hit the hardest. And so I can give you examples where there are smaller counties than Imperial County and they've received more vaccines, Napa, El Dorado, equivalent to Imperial County. And then you have some locations that are exceeding the number of vaccines when you compare to the population. So again, there's no consistency. What we do know is that the places that have been hardest hit, like Imperial County, have not received enough vaccines to curtail the COVID-19 positive cases. And I think what we'll begin to see through a restructuring of dissemination of vaccines is that a lot of those criteria are now front and center to be able to ensure that proportionally we are receiving more vaccines. And I think you'll begin to see that in the coming weeks.
Okay, one of the issues, again, and these are our state issues, My Turn, California. It's totally inadequate, for a state that leads in technology. My Turn, California, I believe 3 counties are now in the system. What's the holdup in Sacramento with that?
Well, there's a lot of challenges that have occurred during COVID-19, all the way from the federal government to the state, including in our local levels. No one expected this pandemic to hit us the way that it has. The fact of the matter is that the new system is something that people are transitioning to, and clearly, like anything new, there's going to be some hiccups. That's not an excuse. That's the reality. And you mentioned the state that leads in innovation and technology. There's no excuse for the challenges that are happening at the EDD agency or at DMV for people to access information during this pandemic, where physical appointments are not possible. And so we have a lot of work to do when it comes to revamping our systems in place at the state and really making sure that we're delivering services to Californians, especially right now where there is limitations on your ability to physically access these locations. I believe that the system will be up and going very soon, and we'll be running smoothly. And more importantly, we'll be able to deliver the vaccines to these counties that have been hit hardest, and making sure that there's oversight and accountability of that is part of that process.
Well, you hit on 2 things that I was going to bring up. DMV, EDD, they're using 20 to 30-year-old technology. Are you going to introduce legislation to, bring that up to the 21st century?
There are a handful of proposals that have been introduced to try to address those issues, but the fact that won't change is the people who have been waiting for their unemployment money or waiting for their renewal of their license, or for that matter, the constituent who has been waiting for her expired placard for her parking handicap space to be renewed. I mean, the fact is that these proposals will reform a lot of the programs and systems in place, but it won't change the fact that people have been affected tremendously by the inefficiencies of an agency that has been operating under, decades-long old infrastructure. And that's really what we need to be focused on, is how do we deliver on those services today. Our office is handling cases every single day as it relates to unemployment, appointments with DMV, and of course even facilitating assistance with setting up appointments for the vaccination. We know that you mentioned earlier, the state that is innovative and technology is kind of at the front and center of our economic growth. We have a lot to do to broadband infrastructure, to making people have access to the internet for purposes today of setting up a nation appointment, or for that matter, a doctor's appointment, or a job interview, or filing for unemployment. All of these things require us to have adequate infrastructure. And look, I think one of the things that's important to highlight is that an area like ours has lacked the healthcare infrastructure, which too has added to the disproportionate impact to COVID-19 cases in our region.
Okay, let's go something a little bit more positive. 20 to 30-year-old software and hardware isn't getting the job done at EDD or DMV, but there is something that we're on the verge of opening a whole new world. And let's talk lithium extraction. And, technology. Lithium-ion batteries are what are powering the car of, that you're going to be driving in 10 years and powering everything else. We have the chance to be on the forefront of that because, right now, China controls the lithium in the world, and we may be able to do that here in the Imperial Valley.
That's correct. Lithium batteries are so important to just about all of the devices and technologies that we use today, everything from the phone that I'm using to the iPad that we'll be making soon later today. And you mentioned, of course, the batteries for vehicles, but we're also looking at storage, battery for energy storage, right, to ensure that we can address potential blackouts that occur, heat waves that come about in our area, and be able to be connected to electrical grid systems. At the end of the day, the opportunity that's before us is to really bring back the component of manufacturing to California, to the country. 2% of the lithium that is available today comes from the United States. We are dependent on places like China, Australia, and in places like Chile. And the fact of the matter is that our region has an abundance of this mineral. And right now, what's being done is the research and development for new technologies for the extraction that is tied to the geothermal industry. And so geothermal industry development will lead to lithium extraction development, which our Lithium Valley Commission started yesterday with its appointments being made, representatives from the local community who will have a unique opportunity to set the stage and the parameters on how this happens in our community. Not only how it happens in an environmentally sound and friendly way, because part and center of our objective is that we do no harm to the environment and that it has the benefits back to mitigating issues like salton sea, developing a funding mechanism to bring forward not just the jobs, but the economic benefits all around. And again, this effort is extremely important to California's economy as it strives to meet these climate and renewable energy goals and the deployment of electric vehicle deployment here in California. building the infrastructure will be key. Where that energy comes from will be key. What hands build it are certainly of importance to us, and how it leads economic benefits to mitigate solvency and build a healthier community is certainly a priority for us and this commission. Exciting time, positive things, and I just hope that we can continue to move in this pathway. We've introduced pieces of legislation to align with these efforts, that the manufacturing and development of lithium happens here in California, that it comes from California. The last thing we want is the extraction and the deployment someplace else. And we just don't want the jobs. We want the ancillary economic opportunities that will benefit the people of Imperial County.
And that's one thing. Okay, Imperial County is supplying a significant percentage of the renewable energy that's mandated in California through solar and windmills. And other than construction, a number of employees you could count on both hands once they're up and running. Maybe if the lithium and other minerals are extracted in Imperial County, you got to build the batteries in Imperial County, where we have available space, water, electricity, and a willing and able workforce. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
The goal here should be that we are able to be part of the entire supply chain, from the development of the energy to the lithium extraction and development to the manufacturing, deployment, and for that matter, if we're talking about electric vehicles and other devices, that they too be considered for development here in California and specifically in Imperial County. I think this could be really the new Silicon Valley when it comes to electrifying our transportation system to a cleaner, a greener path.
Okay, and just one comment on that. There might have to be a readjustment in the tax structure because, as you have noticed, a number of large corporations leaving California for more tax-friendly states.
Well, they have, but at the same time, we've got other businesses coming in. And look, I think it's a testament to the resiliency of California's economy is that during this pandemic, those who are at the higher tax bracket have been doing very well. And the fact is that they have provided a $26 billion surplus in California's budget, even during this COVID-19 economic recession, which has allowed us to reinvest that money through a package of relief at the range of $7.6 billion, where much of that money will go back to helping our small businesses, to be exact, $2.6 billion. 5.7 million low-income families in California will be receiving a stimulus check at the range of $600 and some of them $1,200, investing into child care, $400 million, $24 million to help farm workers and housing during this COVID-19, and $135 million to help food banks and other organizations that are doing amazing work during this recession and COVID-19 pandemic. So there are those who see the thing of businesses leaving, but really never focus on those that are here and coming to California to do business. And I think it's a testament to the resiliency of California's economy and the opportunities that exist here as we stand. Clearly, restructuring tax codes and assessments is always something that you look at to incentivize business to come to California. But look, the incentive is people, power, the resources to build, the efficiencies in our systems to move projects from A through Z, whether it be to the county or our local cities, and more importantly, the resources that are available. And as long as we're doing it in an environmentally sound manner, I think it's a win-win for everyone.
Okay. Assemblyman Garcia, we appreciate the visit this morning. I know it kind of popped up on you on short notice, but as I've mentioned to you, anytime you want to talk about what's happening in Sacramento, what's going on, we're available. because we are the Imperial Valley.
Thank you so much for the invitation. And again, I just wanted to acknowledge that today we move into the 1B tier thanks to the work of the Public Health Department, the leadership at Imperial County, and of course the partners. I mentioned Imperial Valley Vegetable Growers Farm Bureau, the Office of Education for the county, and IVC will be the site of today's vaccination. 1,000, essential workers in the education, childcare, and our farm workers who have been essential, haven't stopped working since day one, will begin the vaccination process. And I think we're going to see more positive news coming from the state or the county as it relates to vaccines coming to our region.
Okay. Thank you for the visit, and we'll have a good, busy weekend, okay?
Thank you, sir. Take care.
The Imperial Valley's best oldies on the radio.
It's what I listen to.
Oh, little girls, I got it.
Imperial County Air Pollution Control District provides you with air quality reports daily. How is your air quality today? Check current air quality conditions in Imperial County at imperialvalleyair.org. You can sign up for free air quality alerts to be delivered directly to your email address, or you can download the Air Quality Alert app to your mobile device today. Stay informed with Imperial County Air Pollution Control District.